which is something that I guess like Street Fighter 6 is doing as well. You can make the fireworks fly from the very beginning. You can kind of have like your rage drive, early, and so there's definitely like a push to bring the fireworks in. Tekken 7, like you said, did do this to a certain extent. They had rage arts. They had the fancy animations of the characters. I mean, if you think about rage arts, like you get to see your characters doing some cool shit, like cool camera poses and stuff like that. And
it's their moment.
It's their moment. And I know like game devs, we talked to KBR for the last podcast, and he mentioned like he wanted to kind of shorten those animations in the game, but like the marketers don't want that because it's kind of like you want to.
There's always going to be that conflict.
Yeah, you want to show but for competitive players, like I've seen this animation 10,000 times. Like, come on, right? And so, so I guess moving on into Tekken 8, there's kind of, I mean, the reception to the game is, especially at the beginning, it's been mixed, right?
Yeah.
But these games are evolving, of course. Like Street Fighter V, when that game first came out, it was pretty mixed, and they made adjustments and stuff, and it developed along the way. And I think a lot of fighting games when they start, they kind of start in that situation. But I guess with Tekken 8, I mean, there's some fundamental things about the game with the mechanics that I'm not sure how people are accepting right now. It feels like there's just so many options and so many things that the characters can do, and that force very close-up situations, obviously, plus frame situations.
Very aggressive.
I play Xiao Yu, and there's I get like two mix-ups and like one smash, and like it's like it's crazy. I mean, it's kind of fun when you first like it's like, oh shit, like you have to eat but like it's I'm wondering, like, I don't know, what is your kind of take on how this game's reception has been, and what direction do you think would kind of I don't know, bring things back to more order in a competitive sense?
That is like the most loaded question of all time. In so many different ways. Yeah. But I mean, it's funny because just today I watched the video Maximilian put out about like what does Tekken 8 need to do.
Sure.
And it just feels like it's just in this really unfortunate place where no matter how they change it, someone's going to be upset now. Because it is really, in my eyes, divided the fan base. Like there are people who are accepting of a new direction, and there are people who are like, we don't like this direction. So it's very similar to what happened in Tekken 4, and it's the same kind of change, right? So I just remember towards the end of Tekken 7, right? Patches weren't going the way people expected. DLC characters coming out that were really imbalanced, and we were like, what's happening to this game? And that kind of carried over into Tekken 8 a little bit, right? Yeah. But I also remember at the end of Tekken 7, they were adding new mechanics, like they added wall bounce, right? They added wall crush, etc.
That's right.
And it was like, this is so strange that they're adding new mechanics to a Tekken game as the seasons progress, because what happens for the next one was my thought, right? Because if you went from like Tekken 5 to Tekken 6, it was like, okay, well, we have walls in Tekken 5. Now we have wall breaks and floor breaks in Tekken 6 plus rage. Then you go to Tekken 7, it's like, okay, now we have, or Tekken Tag 2, then we have balcony breaks on top of those, right? So it's just like a small addition every time. Like one little mechanic gets added along the way. Tekken 7 added power crushes, right? Which is like the armored moves, which were in some invincibility. Plus they added the rage arts then, right? And then all of a sudden, then we added rage drives. Then we added wall bounce. And so you're like, okay, you've added all this stuff to Tekken 7. What are you saving for Tekken 8? And it was always like, what are they going to add in this game to make it different so that it's not just Tekken 7.5? And that was always my question. And they had to do something big to differentiate it from Tekken 7.
Sure.
And so that's what they've done here. And this is the approach they went. They went pretty different than Tekken 7, right? They wanted a very aggressive game. Force the offense, like you mentioned. And I think they've succeeded in doing that. I just don't feel like the players want that. At least not all the players want that, right? And I think when I play the game, I feel like there are times when it feels like I'm playing Tekken still, right? I'm doing the Tekken things. The Tekken things are working. And when I say Tekken things, I mean like more Tekken 7 style things. Like I'm spacing, I'm backdashing, whiff punishing, I'm outplaying my opponent. All those things feel good still. But then I'll play a character like Hwoarang or Lars or Anna or something like that. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? You know, and it's like the game wants you to hit a down jab, or it wants you to hit your power crush.
Yeah.
You know, it wants you to just keep blocking and take the chip. And when you're in those situations, that's where it doesn't feel as fun to me. And those situations for me are like frustrating. It's not as fun or interesting for me. It's not the Tekken that I grew up with, right? So earlier you said, you know, old people, they don't like change, right? So maybe I'm getting old enough to be in that situation now, right? Because when Tekken 4 came out, I was super casual and I was all about it. I loved it. I was like, slope grounds, you know, pillars, et cetera, et cetera. Infinite combos, juggling against the parking lot wall, whatever. I was like, all those things are great. Now, though, I don't feel that way. I feel like this just makes me like turn off the game is what is the feeling I get out of it, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
But it's only against certain characters. So it's like if they could somehow, you know, remove that from those characters that are making you feel that way, take that feeling out of the game and just let it feel like the rest of the game, I feel like you're going to have something that everyone's going to be happy with. But I don't know that they understand like which situations make you feel like that, right? And, you know, honestly, like just on the key charge change hurts me so bad still. It's like it
that
kills
is weird
me.
too.
If you guys aren't familiar, so they made this change. So key charge was you hit all 4 buttons, your character like charges up, and then the next hit you do is a counter hit state. It's been like that forever, right? Like it's lasted like 30 years or whatever it is for the mechanic. And then now it doesn't do a counter hit anymore, and it just does like an extra damage boost. And I'm like, what? And so it was such a weird change. And when they showed it with Hwoarang, right? And it's like, oh yeah, this is really powerful because Hwoarang can do like a heat burst, key charge, and when you get up, you have to guess this mix where he's going to hit you with the 10-frame counter launcher, and you're dead, right? But then the problem now is even without key charge, he's still hitting you with the 10-frame counter launcher. So it's like they never addressed the move. They just took out this mechanic that's been fine for 30 years, right? So that one still hurts. Like I feel like they need to address those moves. And in Tekken 8, it's also weird. Like they took out the magic fours, right? They're like, we don't want you to have this fast single button
just
counter
kind of
launcher.
staggers now. Yeah.
But then, and then they gave everyone like these 111 10-frame launchers, counter it. I'm like, these are faster than the Magic Fours were. You know, like isn't this the opposite? I'm not sure here. So yeah, that was a very strange change to me as well.
Yeah, I think there's this is an interesting topic to me because you mentioned when you were talking about Tekken 4, which is kind of the game that really experimented with all these things, these new things. And that how you were super into it, but then even when you were talking about how you were super into all these like weird maps and palm trees and you compared it to Tekken 8. So you said that Tekken 4 was kind of like Tekken 8 was kind of like Tekken 4 Part 2 in a way.
Yeah, history repeating itself.
And in terms of like what the changes that they made to the game to kind of make it stand out in a way that's some things good, but other things like maybe I don't know if we need to keep this. So it's kind of that's interesting that now you're kind of seeing this happening after you've become a veteran in this space, veteran in Tekken. Do you feel that like I mean, obviously, like for competitive players, for highly competitive players, changes in mechanics and stuff are very sensitive. Now, the key charge thing, that seemed unnecessary to me as well. Like because I actually used the key charge as an example in the last Core video I did.
Very weird how I guess you would have felt the same way as I did because if you go back to the video you made, it was to exaggerate the fact that it was not necessarily designed as a taunt move.
Yeah.
But and then how we explained it, that taunt move needs to be something that's useless, right?
Yeah.
But key charges were technically
they're used in some like setups and stuff like that, right? But it's kind of like if you're doing it like at the end of a round or doing it in neutral, it is a taunt. But that was also kind of like it was a mainstay of Tekken, right? It's like this thing
It serves
that's
a
like
purpose.
it's like it's like Tekken trivia, right?
Yeah.
It's like what happens when you do a key charge. But now they changed it, but it didn't seem like there was like I think it's the rationale and the reasoning behind the change that seems so like unnecessary and not really. It's almost like change for the sake of change.
Would have been the same feeling for I haven't exactly asked the players of that game. I'm gonna explain now is the Grand Blue Fantasy Versus.
Yeah,
because they originally had the easy moves
Yeah.
and the real DP moves or something like the special moves, right?
Yeah.
And they serve the purpose. Easy moves are faster, obviously,
Yeah.
but it had a penalty of a longer cooldown. Later, they unified it so that there's no point of you doing the actual DP motion or anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a
So-
phasing out of like older mechanics or legacy mechanics in a
Yeah.
way, right? But it's like you have but if you make it too sudden, then the community is just like, whoa, if you change the game too much, right?
Yeah, there's no build up to it.
Yeah, there's no build up, and so like it's interesting. Like in 2D games, like if you look at like Street Fighter iterations, those games are very different, right?
Sure.
Like in terms of like frame data and like I mean, you'll have like you'll have a game where the fastest jab is like different frames, right? In Street Fighter, and but whereas like in Tekken has like a legacy component that's actually it's been built up for so long.
Yeah.
And I feel that like for competitive players, the changes are even more like it's people can feel it even more for people who've been playing for a very long time. But I guess this is the eternal question of how do you bring something fresh without like changing it so much that you're messing with what was good, right? And I guess this is just anybody making anything new and novel while respecting like a franchise or whatever. But yeah, I guess there needs to be a gradual change to the thing. But then what I remember also is I asked this question when the Pakistanis came to Korea. I remember there were a ton of young players, right? It was wow.
They're all early 20s.
Yeah, and a lot of them made their name at EWC, and I asked the same question about how they feel about Tekken 8 and their reception and compared to the older players, and the younger players generally they're just kind of like, no, this is dope. I like it, like the way it is, and like I'm like, okay, this is maybe this is to be expected, and so, but then like if you were to bring in this new audience of players with this newer mechanics, like you said, if they start changing it back or reverting it, then they might complain. They just got into this thing and now you're already changing it. So changing stuff is there's kind of a cost to it.
Yeah, there's
right?
a risk to it.
You get freshness,
Yeah.
but then you also get like you're messing with something old. I don't know if there's a perfect way to crack this. I guess if everyone knew, then it would be the secret sauce that everybody would be putting in.
I think in all honesty, like obviously, if you take it as the company's perspective, right?
Yeah.
It is a product that is meant to be sold. You know, there's customers to this. So like the community, the players, the analysts, or mainly those people who are involved in playing the game can always discuss this and like look for solutions, or at least somehow provide opinions. But if you think about it, like the people who create these games would be the most stressed people on earth, right? Because they are actually risking something that they are willing to take, where some people might not like their product, but still have to kind of convert that into a dollar value, right? Or at least put some reasoning behind it. So and now, like just like Rip, there's a lot of our friends and players are going into the development side. That it must be something like a new homework for them, right?
I think just like talking with people from like large companies, developers, when it comes to this kind of stuff, the tricky thing is like, I mean, if you have a company that has like focus grouping for games, right? Now you're kind of getting information and data points from like people from all walks of life, you know, the OGs, the completely new people, and everything in between. And when you're trying to kind of match that audience, which is like everyone, this game's for everyone, and then it becomes for no one, right? It's like the classic saying, right? So it's kind of interesting where I think what needs to happen is there needs to be somebody who knows what they want to make, and they know it's going to be like dope.
Yep.
And they have enough executive power to be able to control it, like a movie director or something, right? It's somebody who can just because like once you like, there needs to be somebody that just is like, what are you talking about? You're gonna change key charts like that?
Yeah.
Like what? Like what? No, we're not doing that. And end of story, like right there, right? But it doesn't work like that in companies, right?
Yeah,
it's like there's like there's like a lot of processes that it's invisible to me. I can't see it myself because it's all internal.
There would have been
but I know,
numerous number of meetings, yeses and nos, and have to measure things and go
and
to the
it could have been
trend.
it could have been like a part of a greater thing, like adjustments made to the game. It's like one order of like, okay, we need to make changes and we need to do it like this and this, like a vague order for it, and then the key charge thing was just kind of like an easy thing to modify, and so it could get changed that way, right? So it's kind of hard to tell like how the internals work, and I guess we can only speculate, but I guess so I kind of want to transition a little bit into now. So now you've got into so you're not doing commentary now for Tekken. Or for the TWT.
For the Tekken World Tour.
Yeah, Tekken World Tour. You're doing commentary in many other things for Tekken, but not Tekken World Tour. But one thing that's kind of reduced your commentary blocks, I'm sure, is now you're very busy with a new fighting game, right? So how did that come about? Invincible versus huge franchise, Skybound Games, right? And they're
Skybound Games and Quarter Up Studio.
Okay, so can you kind of break that down? I know Skybound Entertainment they're the ones behind Walking Dead and obviously the Invincible franchise and everything, and they're kind of an entertainment. They make comics and media and all sorts of things, but they have a gaming division, which is something that you are a part of now. But you said, but I guess you mentioned another group, which I'm guessing is maybe more on the development side. If I'm not mistaken.
So basically, the way it works, so I'll walk you through it. So you're correct. Skybound Entertainment, Walking Dead, Invincible, etc. And then Skybound Games, they were generally licensing out the IPs to other developers to make the games for them, right? So it's like, say, the Telltale Walking Dead series, for example.
Yeah.
So now there is an internal game development studio underneath that called Quarter Up Studio, and that is the company that is making Invincible Versus, essentially. So it's the game development studio that's directly within Skybound Games now, rather than an outsourced third party that's licensing the IP.
Okay. So how did Quarter Up Studios, is that correct? How did that
correct
come about, and how did you get involved with this? Did somebody call you up? Were they looking for fighting game people, and they knew that you had some extra time these days and would be interested in something like that?
Story time.
Oh man, this is a wild one. So I meant to make a YouTube video about this on my own channel, but I never got around to it. So you guys get the exclusive. Here we go.
Wow.
Right.
So this started off forever ago, right? So the guys who are at this company were originally on the Killer Instinct team at Double Helix, right? So the guys who originally rebooted Killer Instinct for the Xbox One, at Double Helix, guys like Mike Willett, John Bautista, Dave Hall, etc., Bill Merrill. These guys are like the core KI guys, and as well as Brandon Misak, who did the rollback netcode in that game as well.
Yeah.
These guys, they were there together. I was writing the strategy guide for Killer Instinct at the time, so that's how I met them. And at the time, Filthy Rich was like the Tekken Tag 2 community manager for Namco.
I remember.
And he had moved to a new company. I didn't know what that was, but me and him were friends. He said, you should come out and focus test this game. Turns out to be Killer Instinct. So I ended up being a focus tester on Killer Instinct at Double Helix back in the day. So that's where I got to meet all of these guys originally, right? And so at the time, I was always like, dude, I'm writing a strategy guide for this game, so I'm in the studio all the time. We're focus testing, so I'm actually giving feedback. And the coolest thing about this, I remember this one example I'll tell you guys. They showed us Glacius, and I looked at him and I was like, he looks too skinny. Like, I'm thinking about Glacius in the original KI, and I'm like, that guy was kind of beefy. This one, he looks more like Dalton. He was way too skinny. And then, we came back 2 weeks later for another focus test, and he was thicker. And I was like, holy crap, these guys actually listen to me. It was really weird to have that kind of level of feedback and have a developer listen to you like that, right? I was like, okay, these guys are pretty cool. And then I was a pure science major, which is what I graduated. That's my degree, right? And I had done programming in the past, and I'd always wanted to go into game dev. That's why I was making the maps in the past, etc. But I never had a chance to. So I started talking to them like, is there a chance for me to become a software engineer here? They're like, yeah, you should apply. And I never applied. I just was busy with the strategy guides at the time.
Okay.
And I just didn't think anything of it, right?
Yeah.
But then turns out, the studio got bought out or something. And so KI moved on to Iron Galaxy, and
Yeah.
the Double Helix guys never got to finish that, right? So season 2 onward was not Double Helix anymore, and they ended up going to Amazon Game Studios, and so a lot of those guys transferred over there. And over there, they made Breakaway. So they invited me to come out and focus test that game. So I tested that game. I commentated that game with Sajam and Vicious and Tasty Steve, Shadosha, etc.
Yeah.
And that was like that game was like a flop basically. They moved on to like New World, etc. And then randomly they decided to make fighting games again. They wanted to do so. They created a new company, ended up being with Skybound. They want to make an Invincible fighting game. And at the time, I didn't know any of this, right? So
yeah.
I am just living my life. Me and Bandai Namco have a little bit of a falling out at the end of Tekken 7.
Right.
Sure.
Right. And at the time, I didn't know if I was ever coming back to Tekken commentary, right?
Yeah.
They had a meeting with me and was like, all right, we don't know how this is going to go. And I was like, all right. They said like 6 months. I'm like, all right, cool. But then they said, you're only banned from master events. I'm like, okay, so I can work
Okay.
dojos or challenge events. Because at the time, these other guys wanted me to come to Africa for an event.
Okay.
I was like, can I still do that? They're like, sure. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then, like a couple months later, they had the Evo showcase for Tekken 8.
Yep.
And it was here in Southern California. And they didn't ask me to be a part of it. And I was like, that's weird because that's not a master event. And I'm like the only
Yeah.
commentator who's done all the Tekken 7 Evos.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's really odd.
Yeah.
And so then I started hearing about that, like I was on some kind of like block list for it. I was like, okay, I guess I'm no longer commentating Tekken.
Ooh.
So at the time, I did like an unemployed stream streak. So every day I streamed, and the
Yeah.
title was something like unemployed stream streak, day 1, 2, whatever, right?
Okay.
So I just kept on doing that. And like to me, it was just kind of like I didn't know what I was doing in my life. I was like, I was just streaming. So I was just chilling. I wasn't really thinking about anything.
Yeah.
Randomly, I get a DM on Twitter from one of the guys who was at the Amazon Game Studios,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Hey, would you like to come focus test something?" And I'm not thinking fighting game. I'm thinking something like Breakaway again, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
right.
I'm like, "Sure, I'm free, whatever." And like he's like, "Yeah, this is the company that I work for." Yada yada. I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." No idea who these guys are. And then random as F. I am on LinkedIn because I was trying to hit up someone about a monitor that I was trying to get to like show on my stream.
So
Okay.
random. yeah.
And while I'm on LinkedIn, I see the guy who DM'd me his account, and I see he's like posting a job opening, and it's for like combat designer. I'm like, what is this?
Oh.
So I never do this, right? But I clicked it, and I read the description. I'm like, that's me. Like I can do every single one of those things. Like this, whatever this
Wow.
job is, I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
that's me. And so I end up like not thinking about it still. I didn't apply to him. I didn't apply. I was like, okay, whatever. I had a meeting with Bandai Namco.
Yep.
They were like, we want to like talk about bringing you back onto the tour for Tekken 8. I'm like, okay, let me go see. So I go to this meeting with Bandai Namco, and I'll just say it doesn't go well, right? It just felt like
Sure.
they didn't understand what I was saying.
Yep.
So
Okay.
they were like, we're gonna bring you back, but like I didn't have a good vibe coming out of it. Like they brought me back, they agreed to all that, whatever, but I came out of the meeting like pissed off, like, yeah, I don't know about this. And so that same day I reached out on Twitter and I was like, hey, what's this job opening? You know?
Ah.
And he was like, do you have a programming background? I was like, I do. He's like, this could work. And then the next thing I know, like I didn't apply again, right? I
Yep.
get a DM from Mike Willett the next morning. He's like, apply, all caps. I'm like, meh. Why
not?
I'm just
Yeah.
really lazy about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then like I think I was thinking like I got to put together a resume because I hadn't put together a resume. I hadn't had a job in 15 years, right? And then they were like, hey, just so you know, our recruiter's reaching out to you to set up the interviews. Just pass them your resume whenever you have a second. I'm like, what the heck? So they scheduled all the interviews for me without me even giving the resume. And then they didn't hire me after all those interviews.
Oh well.
Okay.
I was like, what?
There's the
Yeah,
anticlimax.
and so then I finally go and I focus test the game actually, and I see it, and it was like a super early state, and it was like really interesting because at the time I was an Invincible fan.
Yep.
But I didn't realize like this that they were making a fighting game again, right?
Right.
And the version I saw, like you have to understand. When I went in for Killer Instinct to focus test that, the game came out within like 6 months after. So then when I went to Breakaway, same thing. The game came out very soon after. So I see this version of the game, and I'm like, this game's coming out soon. This is not where it needs to be. I had no idea that it wasn't close to release, right? So they didn't warn me about any of that. They're just like, what's your feedback? And I was like, really harsh about my criticism about everything.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, after that, I get hired. You know? So it's like I end up like helping shape the early stage of the game, which I didn't know was early. You know, I just
Yeah.
thought they were just showing me a limited preview or something. And the game changed like dramatically over those next like 6-8 months.
Oh yeah.
And that's kind of where I came in. And when I came in, like it was kind of a risk because they didn't know if I could do the job. I didn't know if I could do the job. Like I knew I had a programming degree. I'm very confident in my skills to like learn new technologies and my map making skills in the past, etc. I was very comfortable using multiple engines.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really concerned about any of that. But they didn't know whether I was, full of crap or not about it. So they took a little bit of a risk in bringing me on board.
Sure.
But I'm just within 2 months, I think I was ready, getting into like frame data and hitbox adjustments and that sort of thing. So it was a lot of fun right from the get go.
Yeah. This is kind of something that I'm interested in is how the combat's designed and how recently there's been people who have been top players that are now getting into the design aspects, and their perspectives are now kind of they're influencing these modern games. And what's kind of interesting about that is that these that kind of a lot of these players you included, I guess now you're kind of seeing the programming aspect and side of things. And in the conversation I had with KBR, was one of the interesting things was things he said was that throw techs are really hard to get made properly with the animation and the physics and everything. And I don't know, you said that you had you do have a programming background, but then you also have a fighting game background. You're kind of like a unicorn in this field, I would imagine. Because it's like it's something that there's not there's not a million of people who have this combination of traits, right? So I mean, when you're I guess, can you describe like in terms of combat design, what is the are there like tons of builds and it's just incremental updates to the characters? And I saw that you revealed that that you had designed a character. I guess do different people own the different characters they're designing, and then they convene together later about it, or is it like I don't know? And if any of these are trade secrets, obviously you don't have to say, but just whatever you can reveal about the process.
I'm trying to understand like my limitation of what I can say here.
Okay,
That's cool.
Because I'm sure there are some trade secrets associated with this, but obviously I have told everyone already that I got to design Rex. He's my boy. You can see him back there on that cover.
Yeah.
That's Rex Blode.
Yeah.
And this is the fun part. Like, no one knew I was working on Invincible, so slowly I've just been adding Invincible stuff to the backdrop of my stream, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's a big Invincible fan." Like, no one had any clue. Which is great. I got to a hint at it the entire time. Openly, essentially.
Sick.
But as far as combat design goes, like the way it worked with Rex at least was, once I learned all the intricacies of all the systems and everything, and seeing how all our code was connected together, I was assigned this character. But even prior to that, we had kind of gone through and said like, these are the characters that we kind of want to make, and what are their archetypes, right? And so then you think about the archetype of a character. Is this like a grappler? Is this like a zoner character? Like what would fit that character, right? And then you go from there and you're like, okay, what moves would fit that archetype with this character now, right? So you kind of have to break things down individually, and then as a combat designer, you actually end up planning out every single individual attack. So it's like, what's his light attack? What's his medium attack, heavy attack, etc. And then if these are his specials, what are the specials going to do? Like how you create the whole kit, and you say like, is that a balanced kit? And then you also, in our game specifically, for Rex specifically, he's not a character that flies around, but our game has a bunch of these Viltrumite characters who can fly around. So it's how do you give a character that doesn't have the ability to fly mobility enough to hang with these flying characters, right? So
interesting.
What I ended up doing was I ended up giving him a run, I gave him a wall jump, and I gave him a special attack that gives him air mobility.
Nice.
So I worked in mobility even though he's not a flying character, right? So that's kind of like a general idea of what a combat designer does. And then the cool thing, like, stuff that I didn't really know much about coming into it is like how all those pieces kind of connect together, right? So like we have an animation team that's like separate from me. So I describe the move I want, and then they have to like actually like use some reference or, through discussions, figure out what I'm trying to describe and then create that move for the game. And then once that animation's done, then I get it back and I can like put it into the engine. I can set up the hitbox and the hurt boxes, etc. and then hook up all the data for it. You know, how much damage it's going to do, what's the pushback on it, etc. What's it do on counter it, etc.
Yeah.
You know, what's the knockback, what the values, and all those kind of states you have to have for every single individual attack in the game, right? So that's kind of the back and forth flow you get. And then you have totally separate teams, which like which I do have to work with, but not like directly as much. Just like the guys who do the sound effects or the visual effects, to really like complete everything else with the character too.
Yeah. This is where like you know, gameplay mechanics meet the motif, right? The art and the sound, and they all have to kind of work well together. So I guess when you were making Rexplode's gameplay, you mentioned that mobility is a huge factor because doesn't have the flying ability. So is that why he slides at the beginning, or is that the real reason he does a slide at the beginning of the trailer, or
just to
what do you mean the real reason? What other reason could he have for doing a slide? I have no idea what you mean.
All right.
And also, I didn't make the trailer. It's really funny that the slide is the first thing, because that's what everyone points to. Like, of course, the first thing he does is slide.
Yeah, no,
I didn't make the trailer, bro. That's just
he's a law player,
what
so
it is.
there's a
See,
slide
the
at
thing
the
is,
beginning that.
I already like that kind of design aspect as a fan and also as an avid Marvel player. Like, usually, in terms of competitiveness goes, like the higher tier characters have the best mobility, right?
Yeah.
So Marvel is notoriously, if you have an 8-way dash or like you can fly cancel, like you're already like a higher echelon of the tiers, right? But then obviously as a player who has to have the maximum amount of imagination and creativity to make whatever character that they like work, whether they have the best mobility or not.
Yeah.
And I guess like the real example of that was also I'm talking about KPR again.
Yeah.
He won Evo with Hulk.
Yeah.
The Hulk does not have a fly, doesn't even have a wall jump or nothing. Just his dashes are like, you can't even like blink cancelable. But he experimented enough to make it work even in a competitive sense.
Yeah.
And for the audience to know that that kind of character to win a very high level tournament is an awesome thing, right?
Yeah.
And I can kind of foresee that this character, I guess, I obviously don't know. I can't really pick your brains about what came down to the main focus of designing this character, but by not having the mobility as much as the superhero characters is obviously going to be a limitation.
Yeah.
But obviously that's where the excitement lies on how the players and the gamers can be creative and make it work. And
I guess this is
magic.
the hard part of designing these kind of games. Is like you have to match the character to the gameplay. And obviously, like if you had Hulk just flying everywhere, like Storm,
too broke.
or like Sentinel. Like Sentinel has like rocket packs and stuff. Like
sure, it's a robot, so it's
a robot.
acceptable.
Yeah, but like you can't do that with certain characters. But then now it's up to the balance team. And apparently, even with Marvel, to have someone win with Hulk, it's there were some good balance decisions to make that a possibility. And I guess Rip, from your standpoint, I mean, I guess this is something I do ask like almost every dev, and I'm curious about their kind of philosophy and their approach to this very impossible to answer topic, but balance, right? So I guess you have like moves and that you make and you give your character a kit, but ultimately it has to make sense in the entire roster, like the universe of the game. Like you can't just have like a character's move just exists in a vacuum. That doesn't exist. It's all related to how that move can be used with the rest of the roster. And if you just look at in modern fighting games, there's so many characters now that it seems like it's almost impossible to try to make it balanced without like just making the game super, super simple, right? But then fighting games are not simple. There's a lot of complexity involved in it. Is this something that you just kind of do your best at, and or is it a gut feeling where you see something, it's like, oh, that's not okay, you can't have that in the game, or is there kind of a deeper philosophy behind it, or is it just kind of like just do it as you go along? I
would assume that you can't really rely on quote unquote hope it works, because hope it works always brings disaster, right?
But then you have like lower new players who might feel that this character's OP. But then at the high levels, like in Street Fighter 6, like Honda is like a noob killer, right?
Yeah.
It's like But then, like in terms of tiers, it's not
That
like
was my character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I played Honda also. Like, but it's like at the lower levels, it's just like he just headbutts and butt slams all day.
Yeah.
But then at the higher levels, it's like they're parrying my shit now. Like it's like I have to like mix up the timings. I have to mix it up with drive rush, grab, blah blah blah, whatever. Right.
Exactly.
So like when you're balancing the game, it seems like it's so difficult because if you balance it right for like the high level players, then it could be completely broken for the lower level players, and vice versa. If you balance the game just for like new players, then who knows what that's going to be like at the top levels. And then there's games like historically, if you look at something like the old retro games, I don't know if we should ever want to go back to those times, but MVC2 is not balanced at all. Third Strike is not balanced even close. Like it's just if money's on the line, like lots and lots of money's on the line, you're gonna see a lot of chuns, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Chun and Ken,
Chun and Ken and Yun, right. So it's like, how do you approach that? And we're in this day and age where I mean, with these games, there are more and more people getting into fighting games, and you don't want to abandon any audience. You also want the game to be enjoyable for anyone who can come and touch it. Like this is a super deep, loaded question, but I'm gonna throw that at you.
It is a very opinion-filled world.
You can just kind of have one aspect of that if you want. If you don't want to.
That was like
write
a
book.
5-minute question.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think that this first of all, let me say this. I'm not in charge of balance.
Yay!
Okay, and like that was super important to me because they first wanted to put that in my title somehow, like
Interesting.
balance and combat design. I'm like, take that out. I refuse to be part of the balance team. I do
separate.
not need that in my
Okay,
title.
okay.
The entire internet will be messaging me. No, thank you. I know how that works.
Yeah.
But on the combat design side of things, when you're designing a kit, you have to take some considerations about the future balance into consideration when you're designing it in the first place, right? So for me, it comes down to just really simple risk reward, speed and distance. I think those things are really key. Like if you look at a character like Dawson, for example, right? Like this character can reach you across the screen. So of course it's going to be slower to reach you that far, right? It's not going to have the same speed of a jab as someone who like Ryu's jab compared to Dawson's jab, for example, right?
Yeah.
It's just the speed and the startup speed and the range that the move has. It's similar to in shooting games, when you have like something like a shotgun that's going to have more spread the farther the bullet goes, but up close, it's super powerful, right?
Yeah.
So it's just managing that kind of risk reward along the way. I think that's a really core aspect. I think if you kind of follow that, then you'll kind of end up in a decent place at least. But then beyond that, the system mechanics of the game really come into play as well. Our game is pretty interesting because there are moves you'll see and ideas and concepts you'll run into where you're like, that's broken. Like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then once you learn the higher level mechanics, defensive mechanics in our game, you'll be like, oh, wait, I can just do that with that. And if I do this with that, then I can do this as well. And then once I do that, then he's going to be mixed up to do X, Y, Z as well. So we have this layered approach where even if something is busted, we have limiters in place in our system that's going to kind of take care of itself. So it's pretty interesting where you don't have to be as traditionally strict with how broken things are. But in consideration of what you just said about like high level and low level play, when I first made Rex, his zoning was like really strong. Like the speed of the projectile was really high and it was good. And it was really hard for players to approach. The problem we had with the game prior to that was that everyone 8-way dashing, you couldn't really stop them. Like it was very hard to stop them, I'll say. So all of a sudden I put Rex in, I'm like, I'm gonna let him shoot his projectile upward. I was like, well, I can't approach anymore. I'm like, exactly. But the problem with the two was still it was too fast, right? So eventually we had to find a ground where it's like, all right, this isn't gonna just completely stomp noobs, but it's still gonna be effective against the higher level players who want to do an 8-way dash on you. So one bad projectile can still lead to a bad situation for you, but it's still fast enough where you can use it for what it's supposed to do.
So I'm wondering, like, whenever you design a character and their gameplay, sometimes you might have some like really crazy idea, right? Something that's not the rest of the cast doesn't really have anything like that. So if you were to look at like, I don't know, if you were to take like a Tekken example, just something simple like Claudio Starburst, right? It's like, that's not really, that's kind of a unique thing. If you have like an idea of like, this character might have, a special meter that does that has a special task, and it can work. Is it something that you could propose, or is it something that comes from another part of the design team, or is it something that I guess it's collaborative, obviously on some level, but like you might, because like a fighting game is, you can't just have like everyone just has normal attacks and projectiles, and there's got to be some interesting mechanics and rules. And like if you look at Manon in Street Fighter 6, there's a medallion system,
Medals, yep.
Which is like, okay, it's round 3 now, and it's
different
gonna be 2-second round if I grab you. Yeah, it's like those kind of things seem pretty out there in terms of design, but it must have been okayed by enough people, I imagine. Is there like a drawing board for this kind of thing? And do you have some like crazy ideas that like that you were afraid to bring up, or you want to do, but that it wouldn't work in this particular game? Or how do you approach like the more weird mechanics, I guess?
No, for sure. I mean, I think that in a tag fighter specifically, like having a really complex character like that is a little bit risky. Like in general, you're gonna have 3 characters in your team already, right? So if you make a character too complex, then you run into this risk of like kind of the Tekken Tag 2 problem, where learning multiple characters is hard, and you have to have 3 of those, right? So you kind of want to balance it, and so you have some simpler characters, some characters that do have that crazy stuff, and then it's some kind of intermediate characters, I think, right? But like the number of eats that you want to have to make that kind of balance and still accessible to everyone is still really important there. But yeah, we're totally allowed to like come up with crazy ideas, and I think in general, our team, we really like to kind of push the boundaries, and then once we try it out, we play test it, we say like, okay, that's actually insane. Like, let's pull that back, So we have had crazy ideas, and personally, I do like challenges. So, with Rex, for example, I gave him a run, and it's kind of like a stance for him, but run didn't exist in our game before that. So I was like, all right, well, how do we make a run? It's like we had to start at that point. And it's like, can I give him a wall jump? And like, hell yeah. I'm like, okay, how do I make a wall jump? So it's like that's like I know I want to do these certain things, and I asked like, can I do these things? And they're like, yeah. And that's the thing about our team. It's just I really like it. They're really open to feedback. They're really receptive to feedback, and they're really open to pushing boundaries and then pulling back afterwards, rather than being like, oh, that sounds scary, let's not even touch it. But I will say that the longer I've worked now, and the more experience I've gotten, when I do have crazier ideas now, I start thinking like, can I even do it? Like in just in the terms of development and the time frame that we have to get it accomplished, etc. And now it's like the realities of the situation, they affect me more in my decision making than when I started, for sure. So there is that factor for sure as well.
Yeah, there's a practicality
in all development, I'm sure.
I would assume because
Exactly.
at least Invincibles is an existing IP. There would have to be a lot of things that's lore related too, right? Like the characters that are portrayed in the series would have to come to life within the game, right? So
I mean, Rip is obviously a fan of Invincible. I mean, if you look at his background, so I guess this is what's important about respecting the IP and not having them just be merely functions.
That's huge for us.
I guess it's kind of it's like a playground where you can do a lot of things that they've done in the original series, but at the same time, it also could act as a limiter. Like they can't just randomly have stuff that's not in the original series too, right? So
So I'm kind of curious. I've seen some trailers and character trailers for Invincible Versus, and I guess like I'm wondering like. Do you guys are you guys at the point of being able to describe like what the overall gameplay is like in terms of just I guess if there are any inspirations or is this something that's kind of a mix of stuff that's it's a very unique balance of things. If you look at like there's a 3v3 tag element, obviously, and it's a superhero theme thing, so there's flying characters. I mean, you immediately your brain will go to like Marvel, right? 3v3 superhero,
obviously.
Flying characters. But then obviously you guys are making a new game with a new twist on things. Can you talk a bit about the gameplay direction and what the inspirations are and what you guys are kind of going for at this point? Or is this one still too early?
No, I think I can still talk a little bit about it, at least, like, because we do have a general direction, right? It's like brutal tournament quality, high speed, superhero violence. I think that's like sums up our game in a nutshell, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it's a 3v3 tag fighter, but it's not just a traditional 3v3 tag fighter. Like, you want to have these combos, but this team, of course, their what's the word I want to use here? Their history comes from Killer Instinct, let's say, right? And in Killer Instinct, there is this dynamic between offense and defense and having this two-way interaction, even when you're being comboed, right?
Yeah.
So that is implemented in this, which I haven't played a tag fighter that has this as well. So this is pretty distinct to our game here.
Yeah.
And we have this, what we call an active tag system. But I think when everyone thinks active tag, it's like you call an assist and then you can choose to be that assist afterwards.
Yeah.
Our active tag is just like you're calling in that assist and he's flying in and that's the one you are. There's no kind of mix up and ambiguity there.
Okay.
So it's like a little naming thing's a little bit weird there, but
It's a
that
mix of
active
the
tag that we're calling it.
Yeah.
It's simpler in a certain sense. If
It's a
the character
simpler
comes out,
active.
you
Yeah.
control that character. Done.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And so I can walk you through this basic flow, I think, really quickly. So you're doing a combo. There's a combo meter on the screen.
Yeah.
Once that combo meter is full, that's the limit of your combo. So you can think of it as an infinite protection system.
Yeah.
It's like similar
but
to
it's also
KI.
your limiter, right? Like
Yeah.
exactly, just like Killer Instinct, right? So in KI, it was called the KV system. We call it a combo meter, so CM, right?
Yeah.
That's similar in concept. Now, you can reduce that meter for your combo by actually calling in one of your assist partners with an active tag. So basically, the idea is you're doing a combo, meter's filling up, you hold your assist button, in comes the flying character, your assist, and if that hits correctly, that meter gets reduced, so you can continue the combo with that incoming
So
character.
it's literally a combo extension.
But
Yeah.
But anytime you use that in a combo, the person who's being comboed can break out of the combo if they time it correctly.
Okay.
But
Nice. That's
when
more.
you're coming flying in, you can mix up the speed of your attack between a light and a heavy. Or you can even feint out. So
Okay.
That's
there
like
are layers
the-
to that just in the combo system itself.
I can see the Killer
Yeah.
Instinct
It is
spirit in
very
that kind
KI.
of. There's a lot of counterplay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
Exactly.
Within the.
s-
Yeah.
The speed variation change in KI was basically your light, medium, heavy mix up.
Yeah.
And now that's incorporated into your assist timing.
Yeah, but
makes sense,
I kind
too.
of like that it's the timing of the attacks that's changing the things up,
Oh,
right?
it's skill based.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
it's a little bit more. It's not like as digital, right?
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
like
yeah.
you press the right A B or C.
Yeah.
It's kind of like also there's a timing aspect to the moves. So that's kind of interesting. And so if you were to just do a combo without having an assist. Then I guess would that be kind of unbreakable or whatever? You just end up with the shorter combo, or is that how would that
There's a
work?
secondary type of there's a secondary type of breaker
Okay.
which takes way more resources and costs you red life, and you have to have an assist available to do it. So you can call in your assist to help break the combo up, but if they make a read against that, that can be beat by a super as well.
And
Okay.
do they get
There's
happy
a little bit of a
birthday?
trade-off no matter what you're going for here. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
If
There are
they read
layers to
that,
everything.
If they read that, not only you get comboed, but I'm assuming that's gonna be happy birthday.
Oh,
happy birthday.
Right?
Yeah.
That
I'm
is a
guessing that
huge
exists.
risk. It's
Yeah.
not just your resource; it's your entire character. That's
Yeah, that's true. Wow, the
Yes.
stakes can be
So there's
raised.
that,
Yeah.
there.
No, I was gonna say yeah. So there's this interplay of like, do I want to use a single character to do a combo, or do I want to tag in a character to extend the combo even farther? And there are question marks. There's also ways you can extend your combos even farther, even once the meter's full. So there are options in many
See,
different ways.
the dynamics-
and we've had a lot of testing with players.
The dynamics of having
No, I was gonna say.
a combo breaker system in a tag fighting game. The only game that I know that they had that was TVC. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom had a kind of pseudo combo breaker, but traditionally, I guess the influence of all Capcom tag games never really had a combo breaker. If you got hit, it's your fault. You got hit, right? But how, like, do you feel that the KI-esque combo breaker system is a must nowadays, you reckon, in fighting games now, whether it's tag fighter or not?
Yeah, it seems like Capcom SNK, they're generally anti-combo breaker in games, but like in newer games, if you look at I mean, obviously with 2XKO, there's kind of a burst-like mechanic, and obviously with a game made by the being made by the Killer Instinct guys, you're going to have a very sophisticated combo breaking kind of gameplay where it allows you to do all sorts of crazy kinds of combos. I think the original reason for the combo breaker in Killer Instinct, the first one, was it's like, okay, we want bigger and badder combos. We want like 50 hit combos or whatever. It's like, well, then the other person can't play. It's like, oh yeah, well they can play. Here's a combo breaker system. Here's some counterplay, right?
The second chance system.
Yeah, but I guess thoughts on like the combo breaker aspect of it, and like what if Tekken had combo breakers? That would,
I know, right?
It'd be riots on the street, right? It's like
that would be funny. Yeah,
and that's the thing, right? It's like in Tekken, the combos now are very long.
Yeah.
So it's almost at a point now where maybe a combo breaker is not a bad idea in Tekken, which I never would have said before, right?
Yeah.
And I think the fortunate thing about our game is that this is Invincible versus 1. Right? Like, you don't know what this game is supposed to be. No one does, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be whatever it ends up being. So there is no preconceived notion about what this game is supposed to be. It's only your expectations coming from elsewhere, right? So this game is going to be whatever it is, and that's what it is going forward. Whereas something like a Tekken or a Street Fighter or whatever else, there are expectations about what that game is supposed to be like.
Yeah. So there's a lot of freedom, I imagine, that you get with developing this game from I guess the ground up in terms of gameplay. But that's really cool that you guys. I was really happy to know that it is the Killer Instinct team that is they're still around making games in the U.S. One of the things I learned from from looking at all these fighting games is that it's very much like in Japan you have like all these companies that are making tons of different kinds of fighting games. I mean, you have like Dimps there, and you have legendary fighting game developers. Whereas, like in the U.S., you have some. Obviously, you have like the NetherRealm Studios guys. The Mortal Kombat people have been working on these games for a while. But like, and Killer Instinct, of course. But like, it's in North America. I feel like. If you were to find a team that has like, lots and lots of, background in like making these kind of deeper fighting games, it might be harder to find that kind of thing. But I don't know. Like it's, are the people that you're working with, like if they made Killer Instinct, they must be fighting game heads in general. Is that the vibe that you get, or? And do you sometimes have to kind of think about like non-fighting game people, audiences and stuff, or is it like a mix, or I don't know what the company that you're with does it
first of all, these guys that I'm working with are awesome. Like they are some of the coolest people in the world. Like Mike Willette is a fucking legend. Like if you guys knew all the shit this guy had, he is a video game connoisseur. He has like everything, right? But
nice,
huge fighting game fan. Like. Absolutely huge fighting game fan, and a lot of the team is just like they were on Killer Instinct back in the day. So it's made by fighting game fans in general, and my favorite part about it is that we all kind of have different fighting games that we specialize in that are like our main games. So you get this influx of like all of these different fighting games coming together with their own ideas, right? Especially even on our design team. So it's a really cool mix of people, and to your point about like. Do you think about just like the pro player or the casual player, or whatever? It's like it's everything always, and it's we all understand fighting games and what it's like to play them online, and the issues you have with that sometimes, and running to what type of levels of players, etc. So we all bring our feedback into every discussion we have. And the other cool thing we do is we've tested with so many creators throughout this past year, I would say, and it's been just gathering all of this feedback and taking all that feedback and like really implementing them, because our team, like I said earlier, really receptive to feedback. They love like hearing what players have to say, and if it makes sense, if we have time to do it, we'll do it. So our team is really good about that, and I'm really happy that I'm on this team just because they are so open to that kind of feedback.
Awesome. Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm super fascinated by the game dev aspect of these things. It's interesting because you really have to understand fighting games on a certain level to make a game that's true to the genre, right?
Yeah.
And
at the start of this talk, I did mention slightly about how our friends who are among the player groups or the competitor group of people are now even more engaging. Of course, they've been in the development scene a long time ago. Because I would remember people like Seth Killian and like Combo Fiend. When we heard the news they're working for our favorite games, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. It's like the people I used to talk with and inspired from are working on whether it's development, whether it's community management, whatever. Like it's at least we have trustworthy people in the game that I'm game or the hobby that I'm very interested in. And then over time we see more and more, and then now and Rip is one of them too.
I do think that there is kind of a benefit to having like there is a level of transparency that comes from having community people that are as much as you guys obviously can't leak secrets out and stuff like that. There is a level of like the game. The game is at least being looked at
it's
by
in good
certain
hands.
people. Yeah, it's like somebody's there looking at this thing and being like, and that they're gonna raise their voice as much as they're able to if there's something off or something missing or it's really cool to see that, and really happy to see that you've been in game design. I want to see more top players getting into this stuff so that we can get more
that's very cool.
Well thought out fighting games. I guess you're still commentating and
still commentating. I don't want to stop commentating.
You're content creating. You're doing
hopefully
everything.
Tekken World Tour brings me back.
Who knows? I think it's without you, there's a huge hole there. So I think it's I really hope that things get sorted over there, and
or maybe a better opportunity. Who knows what the future will bring?
It's like you said, this Invincible versus thing. It's just not something you completely expected, right? But
definitely not what I expected. I do want to mention on that point you mentioned just about how in America there weren't really fighting games or opportunities for developers, right? Like when I was growing up, I wanted to be a game developer, and that's why I went to like computer science. And then when I got my degree and I went off to program, it was so boring. It was like at a software testing company. I was like, this sucks. Why did I get this degree, right? And I was like, how do I get into game dev? And I couldn't figure it out. So I just, I got let go actually because it was the housing crash recession in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank goodness. I was so happy to not have that job anymore. And I never used the degree again after that, right? But then around that same time, that was like 2008, I think around... I forget the year, but whenever Mortal Kombat 9 came out, right? Actually, no, 2008, 2009 was when Tekken 6 was out. Unconquerable and I used to play Tekken 6 at Super Arcade. So we used to play Tekken 6 back then, right? And then MK9 came out, and I used to go over to his place. We'd play MK9. We'd play Street Fighter Cross Tekken together, right? So we got to play a bunch of fighting games together. But like thinking about us back then, like I never would have believed in a million years that we would both be working on fighting games in America at the same time. Like it makes no sense.
That's
right?
so funny.
And it's so
awesome.
cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, you guys need to have a grudge match in each of your games.
We've talked about it. I'm sure we will. We'll play like whatever, man.
What I also
He's not
kind
that
of
serious, right?
He'll never let you live it down if he can beat you in Invincible versus.
He's the best shit talker too. I hate that guy. He's awesome.
He can back it up too. He's good at fighting games too, right?
Yeah,
so good.
Yeah.
You know what? Also,
he's ridiculous at every fighting game I've ever played him in.
Yeah.
One thing
ridiculous.
I do miss. It's not that long time ago. It's pretty recent. Remember when Harada did the fighting game developer roundtable thing, the stream for you guys? I think very soon we could also have like a Western developer, but it's fighting game orientated roundtable session. That'll be freaking sick.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know where you're getting this idea from, but I guess
awesome.
Maybe audiences keep your eyes peeled. Maybe
I can help
maybe
do
there
it
could
too.
be
It
something
could be
I
a
don't
mix
know.
of content creators and developers alike, or community managers. Those who are, because we can then have a funny kind of segment where have you been active before, and it's like a very old, like pre-YouTube days of like the 1080p quality camcorder of this guy competing in some old Tekken game. Now he's like working for this game, and you can have that for everyone. Because there'll be some sort of archive where like the Evo days of this guy was just some random guy on his like dirty old T-shirt competing in this fighting game comes top 8 randomly, and now he's like working as a combat designer of this game.
That's super sick.
And one day, who knows?
Yeah,
it'll be pretty cool of all the Western developers now being working really hard on the future fighting games.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having. Thanks for being on our show. You're
For sure.
It was a pretty awesome conversation. I think we hit upon pretty much everything that that we wanted. So thanks for sharing your history, and I learned a lot actually. I didn't know that you had a background from
you guys
South
are
Africa,
the map maker
actually.
buddies too.
And
now.
I didn't know that.
We have a new bond now, bro.
Yeah,
like, that
build
didn't exist
engine.
before. Like, you want to go
my
make some
God.
Doom and Duke 3D
Yeah,
maps?
dude,
Yeah, build
yeah.
it. Like the fact that you knew this build engine blew my mind a little bit. Not gonna lie.
yeah.
And that you knew Shadow Warrior had the build engine on the fake second level. I was like, dude. All right,
dude,
this is like
vehicles. Remember that was how big of a deal. You could drive a forklift in Shadow Warrior. That was like a
Oh yeah, right. That's right.
that was a huge deal. And
Zilla, man.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's so awesome, man.
And I do want to say, last point on this is in Duke Nukem 3D, I did make a map that was a replica, as close as I could make it, of the Super Mario 64 like castle when you go in. So I did make a map, and I uploaded that. So if that's, I don't know, it's probably
that was
lost
your
now.
creation.
No, but I tried as best as I can to make the Super Mario 64 thing. But,
the castle front, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, very, very cool conversation. We got a lot of good stuff.
This is like the moment where it's like, I thought I was the only one. And then there's like other people in the world.
Yeah.
But like, dude, just because this is ongoing on YouTube, if anyone from that Duke Nukem map section on AOL somehow downloaded all those maps and is on the internet somewhere, please link it to me, because I lost that map. I don't know where it is, and I would love to see it again.
Yeah, I lost all my maps as well, so I would definitely love to partake in that.
You guys
download.
will be so interested if someone like randomly, hey, I just kept that in a floppy disk or something.
Dude, I know. I think I might have it on a floppy somewhere, but I don't have a floppy
No, it'll be a
disk drive
zip
anymore.
disk.
You know, it's like crazy.
Something like
that many files, you need a zip disk.
Oh my
100
gosh.
megabytes. Yeah.
Oh
all right.
my God.
Now we're just riffing at this point, but
We're a bunch of
now we're old.
nerds. Yeah.
All right,
Old
cool.
nerdy people.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next podcast.
And we'll see Rip at the next Evo. Yay.
Laters.